Generative AI or working with a bot is really quickly becoming the new way that work gets done and also the way that school gets done. We don't want you to necessarily feel like you have to use Gen AI, but because it's so useful and it's what's coming at us, we figured that we wanted to at least give you that introduction and really help you get started if you are new to it. And if you're not new to it, we just wanted to sort of jog your mind with different potential questions that could be conversation starters. So if you want just like a very quick, easy, simple answer, then going on to a search browser the way that you have for years is probably fine. But for more meaty questions and also to really get a conversation going, that's where Gen AI or working with a bot, synonymous, means the same thing, can be quite helpful. So we're going to give you examples, and I have loaded up some things for Google Gemini, for Anthropic's Claude, and also for ChatGPT, and you can just get a feel for how these work. So we've put together this question. We see how simplifying our life would make homeschooling more achievable and life in general just more enjoyable. Our current schedule has us doing a lot of driving. We have a moderate number of possessions. Feel free to ask me questions before responding. We're saying that to the bot. We're going to copy paste this, and I'm going to head over first to Google Gemini and enter this question. And this is the prompt that I'm giving to Google Gemini. And it has some ideas. It says, could you describe a typical day or week for your family? What activities fill your home? And so I can say, let me tell you about my day. It's chaos. I'm up at 5:30 a.m. and often don't go to bed or rest at all until 10 p.m. My youngest wakes up at 6, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. You put this in, and now you have a conversation going. And the recommendations that it makes are going to really center around what you've put. Notice it's asked you questions about your possessions. It's asked questions about your driving. And that comes down to the fact that you said, feel free to ask me questions. And so it took you up on that offer. And then it's got just this very simple list for simplification. But if we fed it more details, then that list would elaborate. Let's try another one. It's been forever since I've put together a resume. My kid needs one for a job application. What are some good resources here? We're okay paying as much as $150 to do this, right? Online services are just fine, but is there anything in person, like a workshop in my local area? Keep in mind, we are recording this in Utrecht in the Netherlands, so local area might look a little different for you. I'm going to go to Anthropic's Claude, and I'm going to enter my prompt. And this is just a nice little list of details or questions that have come up. And you can now ask a follow-up question if you like. And that's a really great thing to keep in mind, that the analogy that I've heard is that AI is like having an eager intern. You wouldn't necessarily just ask your intern a question and then get an answer from them and then be done, right? Like you would go back and forth, and they would maybe misunderstand you. They would misinterpret you, and you would need to refine and say, oh, that's not really what I meant, that type of thing. So let's look at one last one together, which I think is pretty amazing. And it's in this next section. We're going to have a lot of these fire up your bot, and fire up your bot are these questions that we've prepared for you throughout the course. That you'll see these throughout the remainder of the homeschool class. I'm a homeschool parent, and I'm nervous about teaching American history to my 5th grader. Could you put together a course outline for me? We plan to cover the material for about 40 minutes a day, 4 days a week, and we will spend 21 weeks on this course. I'd like a fairly detailed course outline if you don't mind. My daughter is really interested in the 100 years or so before the Revolution, so maybe 1650 or so, right up to the Revolutionary War. Could you put a bit of focus on that section of our class. What are some good resources we could use? Now let's go copy paste this and put this into ChatGPT. Now you can see this is basically instantaneous, and it is giving us a week by week summary of how we could establish a course that is age appropriate, that hits on the main ideas and maybe topics that are of interest to our student learners. Notice you're not done here, right? It's saying week 7 to 10, Road to Revolution. And you know, if you go day 4, the role of women and families in the pre-revolutionary period, that's great. That's a starting point, but you are going to need to ask more questions and maybe do more of your own research. But what a powerful tool. And this is being done sort of instantaneously in front of your very eyes. This is something that you absolutely want to have at least rudimentary understanding of. I hope that comes through in this little presentation here.